Okay, well, I do have 1 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get going. Once again, this is Pat Santosa from Axiomatic, and this is the training for the New Hampshire Department of Revenue MS-1 for 2021. Just to let you know, we are recording this training session so that we can share it with folks that are unable to attend. So if you could hold your questions to the end, we can edit them out of the video that we post. So we're going to do a little bit of overview of equalization, how to get to the MS-1 in the app. If you don't have credentials for ratiostudy.org, we'll tell you how to get those at the end. It's going to take about 20 minutes or so. So we'll talk about MS-1 submissions for towns, cities, and villages. We'll take a look at what's changing in 21. We'll take a look at how to data enter the MS-1 or how to upload a data file from your CAMA system if your CAMA vendor creates one, and then how to finalize and send your values to the state. So I'm going to run through this PowerPoint, and then I'm going to log into the application and show you everything that we're talking about live. So first, things that are new for 2021, the electric energy systems exemption and the renewable generation facilities and electric system exemption. So 2 new exemptions for 21, we'll see those on the form. And there are 2 workflow processes that you can go through. So first, you can request an extension. We'll take a look at how to do that. There have been quite a few coming in already. When you do go to submit your information for the form, you can either do manual data entry there on the top row, which then goes through validation checks. So make sure that all your required fields are filled out. You submit the form within the application, and you have to print out a copy to get it signed and then scan and upload that signature page. So that copy has to be signed by your assessing officials, which if you're a city is usually your assessor, and if you're a town, it's usually your board of selectmen. The other path here on the bottom is you can do a data upload. Many vendors provide an XML data export for the MS-1. I'm positive that Avatar does. The other vendors, you'll have to check with your vendor and see if they have updated it for 21. So you'll upload the data. It will check to see if your utility names match DRA's utility names, and then you're in the same workflow. So we'll take a look at that as well. So MS-1 data entry. So when you log into the application, you're going to navigate to the MS-1 tab and then click continue to begin with. And you'll see I have multiple municipalities shown here. If you are a contract assessor or an assessor that operates in multiple towns, you should see all of the towns that you have access to. You'll also see their village precincts down below to file your MS-1 Vs. So clicking continue will bring you into the MS-1 interface, which looks something like this. So you have tabs across the top for utilities, credits, exemptions, property reports, etc. So this is where you do your data entry for the MS-1. You have your buttons on the bottom, starting from left to right. Save and home will save your progress and return you to the MS-1 homepage. That was that index of municipalities that we saw. Save and recalculate will keep you on the same page, save all of your values and recalculate all of the totals. Clicking the submit button will run through all of the checks. And as you run through it, will just alert you up top one by one as it's going through the checks so that you can correct them until it finds no errors, and then you'll be able to submit an e-file. And finally, view MS-1 report. This is how you print out the MS-1, and we'll take a look at that as well. So MS-1 upload, and recall that those 2 paths were not parallel. You have to start with one and stick with it. So you would export your MS-1 XML from your CAMA system and then upload it into the web application. And this is only available if you have not started your MS-1. So if you upload the XML, that will seed in all of your MS-1 data, and you'll be able to edit it once you've done that. If you click continue, and if you notice Barnstead on that screenshot down below has a continue button, and it has an upload XML button, whereas Auburn above it does not have an upload XML button because it's already started. So if I was in Auburn and I decided I wanted to re-upload a data file, I'd have to click that delete. That would delete my MS-1 record, and then the upload XML button would become available, and I could go through that process. So the first step in uploading data is validating. The first validation you see is, does the entity name that you're trying to upload match the town that you're in the application? In this case, you see a red exclamation. I've got the wrong file. I'm in Barnstead, and in my data file, it says that this is Bridgewater. So that would be a warning. We also see down below, we have our utility names. Those green check boxes mean that the utility name that came out of your CAMA matches the utility name that the state has, so no action is necessary. If we can't match it, you just need to pick the correct utility from that list on the left that matches your uploaded name. So you can kind of do that data mapping. And then to save time for next year, if you change the utility name in your CAMA to match what the state says it is, you won't have to do that again. MS-1 submission. So this is the two-part piece. You click submit in the application. That performs all of the checks. Once you've passed all the checks, you complete that e-file certification on that top right screenshot, first name, last name, phone number, and email. So at that point, when you click that, DRA will have access to your MS-1, but it will not be completely submitted until you print out the MS-1 report and get it signed by your assessing officials. Again, typically your select board. Then you upload that signed signature page, and that is what completes your MS-1. So DRA can start the review of the MS-1, but they will not finalize their review and pass those assessed values off to set your tax rate until that signed copy is there. So be sure you keep that as a to-do after you submit to get that signed by your select board or your assessing official. Couple things to note here. We have a help button in the top right. That will take you to our support page, which has a lot of help for equalization in general. You'll also notice that for each of the sections there on the bottom right of our screen, we have a blue question mark. So that will take you to specific help for that particular section of the MS-1. So again, that's kind of section specific help. The help button on the top right of your screen always is the general help. And I'll bring this up at the end. But basically you have two sources of help. You have your equalization auditor. So Natalie, Cindy, Linda at DRA. If you don't know what you should be putting in or how they want things to be reported, that would be a question for DRA. If you know what you want to do but can't seem to make the application do it, that would be Axiomatic technical support with email and phone number there. And like I said, I'll bring this back up at the end once I do the demo. So let me switch over to the application and we can take a look at some of this. So all I've done is logged in here. I'm going to navigate to my MS-1 tab. And it's going to show me all of the towns that I have access to. You will not have access to this many. Obviously, this is almost everything in the system. So you'll notice again, the XML upload button is not present for the ones that I've already started. So if I wanted to upload something for Ackworth, say, I would delete Ackworth, and then it will give me that XML upload. Just takes a moment to load here. So now I have that option. But let's cover extensions first. So if we go in, we can request an extension. Very simple form. You select your reason, whether it's a reval or utility values, give your explanation and say what date you're requesting the extension to and submit it. That will go to DRA and they will review and approve your extension. So you'll get an email confirming that they reviewed it. And we see our extension history here in our extension table as well. So we'll go back here. Notice these help buttons. These are the ones that I was talking about. So that's specific help. Let's go in here and just do what it would look like for manual data entry. So I'm going to click continue. And here we are in our MS-1 interface. So we've got our tabs across the top. We have our utilities reporting. So our utility summary, reporting the value for your electric utilities. Clicking the add line here adds a new line for you so that you can do the data entry. The red X would remove a utility if you wanted to remove it. And once again, the inline help here that would take you to the help page. So we've got our electric, our gas, our water utilities. If we go over to credits and exemptions, all this is the same from last year. So you're reporting the amount of the exemption, the number of individuals, and the estimated tax credit. So the maximum allowable would be your amount of the exemption or credit times the number of individuals. So you can't be estimating a tax credit above the multiplication of those two numbers. So just keep that in mind. We have our disabled and deaf. So again, these are income and asset limits for a disabled and a deaf exemption. So they're different for single and married. If we go over to our elderly credits and exemptions, we report the number of people in the various age brackets that are getting the elderly exemption. And then we report the number and the amount per individual, the total actual exemption granted, which again has to be less than or equal to the max allowable. Same thing with income and asset limits for the elderly. And here are some of our new things for 2020. It's these bottom two. And I don't believe anybody has adopted these, but this is where you would report if you've adopted this exemption, the electric energy system. If you say yes to any of these, it will ask you for more details. So the number of properties that you've granted the exemption to, which can be 0. And then our other new one, our exemption for renewable generation facility and electric energy storage. So those are our two new exemptions for 21. If I go over to property reports, you have your report of current use, land use change, and I'm not going to dwell on these because there's quite a few of them. Conservation, your discretionary easements. And again, if you have questions on what these are, that would be a question for DRA. Discretionary preservation easements, discretionary preservation add line easements down there. So this is the 79D exemption there. We have our farm structures. We have our TIFs, so our tax increment finance districts. Not many municipalities have these, but if you do, you can put one in, put in the district name, the date that you adopted or modified it, the unretained value, the retained value. We calculate some fields, and you can actually put documentation of your TIF here, which is encouraged. Payment in lieu of taxes, and then we're just into our summary. So who your assessor is and your land, building, utilities and timber reports, and finally down to your totals. And it's showing you the current and previous year, which is the same view DRA does. So you can see if there are large differences that don't make sense, you can double check your data. Take a look at the MS-1 report here. Once again, it says draft until you fill it out. What you generally want to do is click the diskette, export to PDF, and now you have a copy that's ready to be signed. And again, don't get the draft one signed. You want to actually go into the portal, click submit, and I must have some errors. We'll show you what the warnings look like. It's going through and checking all the required fields and checking all the math to see if I have everything okay. Nope, so it's telling me I need to have a source for my payment in lieu of taxes here. So it will go through each one of the tabs and check it. We got pretty far here. We're on the second to last tab. So you would correct this, click submit again, and that will get you to that e-file home. The watermark will go away on your report. Just export this out to PDF, print it out, get it signed, and then you can upload the copy in the application. So I want to show you what the XML file looks like here. So this is the other way that you can load data. So notice here, again, no XML upload because I've started. If you delete it, you can go ahead and upload it. So let's do Andover. I'll upload XML. You just browse for your file. So again, you would be saving this from your CAMA. Go into that saved location, clicking upload. It is a file for Andover, so this checks out. Both of my utilities look good. That matches up too. No water, no others, so we're good. If these didn't match, you just have to pick from the drop down and data map your name to the state's name. So we'll apply that upload. And what this is doing is seeding all of that data into the form for us. So now I've got Andover. And again, if you did it by accident or you want to update something in CAMA that you need to change to get correct numbers, you can go ahead and delete this and re-upload that XML. So I can also go in here, and now I have all of my data pre-seeded. You can make any edits you need to within the application itself. Again, save and recalculate and save and home. Save and recalculate keeps you on this screen. Save and home brings you back to your index of towns and cities that you can file for. So once again, you obviously won't have this many. Many of you will just have a single municipality. If I scroll way down, I have every municipality in the state. You have your villages down here. So exact same thing for your village districts if you have them. And it will indicate which municipality it comes from because they're not all uniquely named. So we've got our 2 Andover village districts here that we'd also need to fill out. Exact same process, except you don't request an extension for the village forms. That goes along with the municipal form. So just one extension request. And you can make multiple extensions. We saw a bit of that last year with COVID. Folks weren't able to get things done as quickly, so they would request multiple extensions, which is okay. So that is a high-level overview of the MS-1 process. Not much has changed from last year, just those couple of new exemptions that I don't think many people have adopted yet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put up this that PowerPoint slide of your resources again, so you can have that for reference. And again, we're going to post a recording of this to the web and share the link with folks, so you can always refer back to it if you're not filling out your MS-1 right away. And we do have another training coming up if you know folks that wanted to attend this, but we're not able to. We do have other trainings available. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions either via audio, or if you want to use the meeting chat, we can do that as well. I'll send out just a test chat here, so that'll light up the meeting chat.